Hey guys, this is Loony, and we are currently on day 3416 in my hardcore world. A little bit later than planned, it is time to give you guys a little tour of this world. And we start that tour on this very block here. This is the estimated spawn block. This is where I think the whole adventure started. I can be off by a block or two, but not much more than that. And from this place, I'm gonna give you a show and tell of every little detail in this world that you might have missed, leaving a little something out here and there, because as you guys might have heard, there's a secret hidden in this world that I will only allow you to find once I die in here and you get a world download. This is the block where I think everything started. The first thing I did that day was cut down trees on this hillside and gather enough wood to sustain me through the night. Because when I started, I had very, very little Minecraft experience. I played the game for two and a half months and then headed into this hardcore world. And I was scared. I was really, really scared. So when nightfall came around, I made my way in here, dug a little hole in the hillside and planted some chests and started gathering. Here we still find some of the early resources, saplings from the trees I cut down, a little bit of food resources, weeds that I used to plant a farm here, which I later harvested in full, and some other chests with random things. Snowballs, because why not? I have a little chicken farm here, and this is where I collected the first resources. We have a little hole on this side. This room, with the torches along the wall, is where I bred my cows, because I wanted to have everything inside of the hillside to make sure that whatever happened, I was gonna survive those first days. As I said, I wasn't very good at the game, but I was very careful. So even when I would go outside at night and I would go and do things, I always did this. I always sealed it up here so that if mobs were to gather on the outside, I would have time to come up with a plan rather than just run in there and hope for the best. And that is how I approached everything early on. I was hyper careful. I tried to light everything up if I explored some small area of this cave, and I went looking for resources. And if I came upon something that was hard to cross and mobs couldn't cross it either, I would just leave it there. I think I spent like the first maybe 12, 13 days of the world or so. I spent them around this area. I made my way down and put cobblestone stairs in here. And I had a very interesting situation here where I actually heard mobs below. There were quite a few zombies in this room. There are still zombies in this room. Right now, that is not as scary as it used to be. But way back then, I was very, very careful to drop into a cave that I hadn't cleared out yet. I didn't have gear, of course, but also I was just worried. And from here, I explored every little sidetrack in this cave that I could find, looking for mostly iron. I started mining out some coal as well, but very soon I had all the coal I needed. And I would only look for iron because I wanted to get full iron tools and full iron armor very, very quickly. From there, I made my way further down, kept mining here until we got to Y11, and this is where I started strip mining. So on the side here you see all these long tunnels that I dug into the hillside here looking for my first diamonds, and it took a while, but I ended up finding everything I needed to get full diamond armor in this cave here. Still mobs. It could be a large spawn because there's a lot of light in the area, but right now I shouldn't have any problems with that. Alright, let's go back up and I'll show you the next thing, because after I had the basic materials here, I wanted to find a place to set up my first base and get my enchantments. And the getting enchantments, I took an interesting approach here. These blocks here, they show us a lava pool. And that lava pool, I crafted a couple of buckets and I would carry them up 3 at a time. Maybe a little bit more later on, because I used buckets for 2 things. I used buckets as my fuel source, lava buckets, and I carried up the lava to put my nether portal right here. Because I didn't have a diamond pick at that point. I didn't want to waste a diamond pick before enchanting it. So what I did is I carried the actual lava up here and then lava cast a portal in place. Which I would not recommend at this point, but that's how I did it early on. Then if we go in here, we find a little bit of a messy situation right now, but it used to be quite neat around this area. It's messy here because I've been gathering netherrack, but what I did, I came out into the nether the first time. I was absolutely terrified. Mind you, piglins were not in the game. We only had zombie pigs back then, but these guys, they weren't here. So I didn't have to bother with the gold helmets because I started the world in 1.15.2 on May 13 of 2020. Now, this portal, I covered it up in a little bit of a tunnel, and I was actually smelting all the cobblestone that I dug up. I used the lava buckets for that, and you saw that there were 6 furnaces in that room. I would convert all the cobblestone into stone because I wanted to use that for building later. And then here you see one of the interesting dirt pillars, which indicates that I went that way. Let's check out what we find there. I think we'll be able to show. There are a few places around here. There's a hole in the ceiling here. There's a hole in the ceiling here. And then there's a hole in the ground here. What I did here is I went to mine nether quartz to get my first 30-something levels. Because I wanted to get my enchants quickly, without taking any risks. I did not want to build a mob grinder at that point in the world. So I just went into the nether, spent a good 30 minutes or so gathering quartz, which back then was relatively safe. I see that I missed a spot here, but most of the quartz in this area has actually been taken out. You don't see much if you look around. Checking for my elytra, because right now I'm always super safe about everything. And once I had the quartz, I went back into this place, that little hole in the wall. And as you guys will see, I had all these furnaces set up here. And this is where I would smelt the stone back when I first started the world. Let's get my normal armor. We're actually going to carry this around because we'll be back here later. Once I had all the basic things I needed here, and that was have my 30 levels, have diamonds for my armor, have books for my bookshelves, and have an enchanting table. All of that I gathered from the cows here. And I made a little bit of a sugarcane farming setup along the water here. So here I planted strips of sugarcane that I harvested, and they gave me enough paper. Then let's talk about this thing over here. This is something I added in later. What this is a auto-fueled smelter array. And it is actually a failed attempt at something. You can see that the furnaces are currently working, I think, because I hear them. They just started up themselves while we were inside there. And the way this works is it detects when bamboo grows up to this block, then it automatically harvests it, and then it puts it into these furnaces. As you can see, they are not all working right now, so there must be some mistake with the setup, but we are getting glass here in the bottom. And I thought that this would give us a whole lot of resources because it is in spawn chunks. Thing is, I'm still finding out new things about this game every week or so. And one of the things that I learned is that spawn chunks actually don't affect crop growth. So if we're not here, the furnaces are working, surely, but the bamboo is not growing, and therefore the thing doesn't fuel itself. Now, I built all of this out of grass blocks and dirt, as you can see. That is because I intend to remove it, because I don't want to have anything hanging around like this. And since it's kind of a failed project, I'm waiting until I move it over to a different place, because in itself, the setup is kind of cool. Having automatic fuel going into furnaces every time you're in the area, that works great. So I'm going to move it over to a place where I still have to build a big project. Therefore, the entire time I'm working on the project, it will do its thing, work its magic, give me resources I need. Now, if we fly this way, this is where I first went exploring. I tried going over to this side, which was quite unforgiving terrain. So when I found myself in this spruce forest, I decided to double back, to go the other way, and I made myself follow this river, which ran dry very quickly, and then I just kept going straight through the forest. I found a swamp here with a lava pool, but I hadn't considered making portals out of lava pools just yet. I knew how to do it, but the speedrunner portal was something that was unknown to me. And then I found this village, and I decided to build my first house in the world right over this river, because somehow it appealed to me to have a house on the water. Now, sometimes on the stream, people ask me what my least favorite build in the world is, and it would be this. The reason that it is not one of my favorites is that the flat roof that I was going for didn't work nearly as well as I had hoped. Let's make our way to the front door, which I think is closed. So we're gonna do something a little rebellious and mine through the door. Now the inside of the house, I don't hate it at all. I kind of like it. It looks nice. I never ended up really decorating it. We might refurnish the whole thing, but it looks cozy from the outside. There's some small details, and I really like the basement on this. The basement was the most important part of his house, because in the basement you hear lots and lots of mobs around now, but in the basement you also hear a ton of villagers, and these guys, they gave me all the stuff that I really needed early on. So let's check their traits. This one has protection 4, which was very important. This one, unbreaking, equally important. Here we have Depth Strider, which I really needed. Reason being that I intended to get an ocean monument. Minor distractions. I mostly wanted to fix this here. Now, this little pit that the zombies fall into is here by design. And what this did is it allowed me to convert the zombie villagers, or the villagers, into zombies, and then after I would convert them back, and that brought their trades, their prices down all the way to the point where, if we look at it now, it's 1 emerald for a book. That took a little bit of work, but that work was definitely worth it. There are so many mobs around here. I will show you the rest of the place. We also have Flame here, which accidentally happened in a new guy. We have Silk Touch. This boy has Mending. And this one is moved over to this side. Now, here I organized my storage a little bit. I'm actually going to turn the mob sounds down a little bit for you, so it isn't so crazy. Here I organized my storage a little bit more. I made more furnaces under the stairs, and I used to have my enchanting setup right here. But that one, I decided to take it out and move it over to a different place. I made a chicken farm here, which I never ended up using all that much. You can see that there's a bunch of raw chicken now there. That is because I set the chicken free, and I killed every one of them because I wanted to get a lot of feathers for my firework display when we ended up getting to 3,000 days. Other thing we have here is this floor made out of quartz, and then underwater there is our redstone blocks to activate these. You could also do that with torches. I chose to do redstone blocks because we are, of course, above the water. I made a new portal here to go into the nether, which I made in the same way, I think. I lava cast it. And then behind this guy, can we see that? There is a small AFK fishing farm. And I think I used this for 20 minutes or so. What I wanted from that was to get nautilus shells, because I really needed to get my hands on a conduit for the next stage of the world. The nautilus shells, I got like one of them, and it didn't actually go fast enough, and then I decided not to do the AFK fishing, because I don't like to AFK at all. It feels like a waste of time, and I try to do as much as possible in the time that I have here. Now, if we go down here, you can see that the walls here are cleaned up, and that there's actually stone bricks for stairs. And then here we have a little bit of a hallway as well. But then here we find more strip mines. And I actually said earlier that I found all my diamonds for armor in the old mine. That's not true. I actually found like maybe 8 or so. I remember making 2 pickaxes and trying to get the right enchantments on them with those first levels. And we got something pretty decent, but I don't remember exactly what it was. I feel like it wasn't a perfect pickaxe right away, but it also wasn't bad at all. Now, if we go back up here, I made a new nether portal. And from that nether portal, we went into the nether to try and find blaze rods. That is where the adventure started. If we go there now, this is the portal that we saw earlier on from the other side. And it is messy here. It got real messy. But what I remember doing is... oh, for a moment I thought, we have a villager here. Interesting. He's adventurous. What I remember doing is making a tunnel out this way. So right around here is where I would come out. And from there, I made my way into the nether. And I remember that around this way is where we found a fortress. But then there's also this little bridge here, which is something that I use quite often early in the game. Because this is how I would transport through this place when I had to go to the end. Because after I found the end portal, I made a setup there to do my enchantments, and I made an enderman farm there, and I sometimes had to go there from there to the old house, or from the old house to there, and we can find that portal. It is broken out, but this would go to the portal room. It is broken out because I later moved all my portals over to the roof in the nether. Now you can see that this tunnel, it doesn't stop there, it keeps going. And right around here, we find another tunnel, and you see something there at the end. That is where the Heart of the Season base portal would connect. Those portals right now are also deactivated. Alright, if we make our way back here, I'm gonna take the same exit portal, so we get back to the old house. And then from there, we will move on to the first important bit of exploration that we did to find the stronghold. And then from the stronghold, I will show you guys the Heart of the Sea, which many of you know now, probably everybody. That was the first real project in the world. Usually now when I come here, I just land here, go into the basement, and then fly out from here. I think the village is completely deserted. Oh no, there's actually a guy walking there. Nice, that is a surprise. I didn't do much in this area aside from the villagers. One thing that we can still find here is a sugarcane farm. Small automated one. I made this design myself, but it actually doesn't work great. It's not lossless. You see that sugarcane sometimes sticks around on these glass panes, or it somehow doesn't make it to the collection system. It's not ideal, but it helped me early on. And it also taught me a lesson, because we see a little bit of sugarcane here. Now, automated farming is great, but if you need something urgently, many times it is a better option to just farm it. So I ended up planting a lot of sugarcane around here to make sure that I got all the paper I needed for the books, for my enchanting setup, but also for rockets. Because early on, I would farm the creepers manually, use looting 3, and get my sugarcane from here, or from harvesting it myself. Eventually, when I started exploring, I started going this way. I made my way up this little hill, and then started navigating through this dark oak forest. And if we fly over here, we can still find some some bridges like this one over here. And I think from there I probably... I feel like I went this way. Because in the end, what I was looking for here... No, we never found that. We found this one. Which indicates that there's a bridge here. Yeah. These bridges are here because I had to get my horse across. I was traveling in horseback then. With my first horse. Brave little pony by the name of Danny. Who unfortunately... didn't get very old. Danny died in a creeper explosion that brought me down to half a heart. Which happened right next to the old house. In this desert, I went looking for ender pearls because I didn't know about trading with villagers. I couldn't find them in the warped forest because they weren't in the game yet. So I thought in a desert I have good vision. I can see endermen and I can try and get their pearls. I had a looting 3 sword for my setup. And after our little adventure in the sandy hills, I made my way back over here to the base where I will show you that one creeper explosion that very, very nearly prevented this entire world from happening. Because it was before day 50. Here's another bridge. It was before day 50 in the world and I very nearly lost it all. I think it is somewhere around here. Let's see, I remember the forest being here. This is the place. This is where I very nearly met my demise. And I actually think that by then I had these boots. They weren't called Nightwalkers. They were still diamond, but they had feather falling on them. That was something I prioritized. Like way early on, I wanted to have feather falling. I think if I didn't have that, I might have died here because I actually fell after that creeper because he exploded me up in the air. I think I fell to about here, and without feather falling, that might have been the end of it. At that moment, I panicked. I ran around here. I tried to heal up, which happened. There were no other mobs that attacked me, so I made it out alive. And then after I found my ender pearls, I threw the eyes and they went out in this direction. So I started crossing the forest. And eventually we made our way to the water here. Which if we fly out, we should find it quite soon. I remember this shipwreck very well. Because this shipwreck is where I parked my newer horse, Balthazar, that replaced Danny. And from here, I started swimming. And I went out this way. I swam through this entire bay. I, for the life of me, don't know why I didn't make a boat, but I didn't. And then I remember going on shore here. And somewhere around here is where I dug down into the stronghold. Let's see if we can still find that. It has to be on the shore somewhere. That much is certain. Because I remember running all the way back to the shore and then deciding to dig down. It could be here. It's an interesting thing to revisit. I don't know exactly where it was. What I do know is that the portal ended up being right here. Which I dug this tunnel later from the portal room because I had to drop in a dolphin. But this is where I went down and made my way through the portal. And then pretty close to there is where I found my first ocean monument. And for a moment I thought that it might be a double ocean monument because there are 2 of them pretty close together, but it ended up being too far out to do anything useful with it. You're gonna see the second one. This is where I started my first project. It's called The Heart of the Sea. And this is where I spent like the first 1400 days in the world. Now, if we get around here, frames start dropping off a bit, and there's a good reason for that. Here's the second ocean monument. As you can see, that is close, but not close enough. I'll show you this base in the order in which I constructed it. So the very first thing I did here is, well, obviously I defeated the ocean monument, and then I made this glass circle around it and I started draining it. But even before it was completely drained out, I was thinking about a guardian farm. That is what this entire base is about, and that guardian farm is right here in the middle. And right now we're standing very, very close to it, but if I walk a little bit further away, then you'll see that guardians start dropping in. They spawn in, they drop through that lava blade is what it's called. This design is by Gnembon, by the way. Part of his fun farm series, which I would definitely recommend checking out. It's really cool. And he tells you a lot about how things work and why they function. We're in the spawning zone right now again, but this is still producing guardians, and it does that all the time that we spend in here. Then the guardians fall down here, and then their items are sorted out. I recently emptied all of them, but you can see prismarine crystals get in this side. Prismarine shards go over here. And then everything else, which is mostly raw and cooked cod. And at some point, prismarine shards, when all these fill up, because they fill up faster than the crystals. And I don't need all the shards. It's fine that they overflow. And all that prismarine goes into these chests, where I try to organize everything in a way where I could store lots and lots of resources. At this point in the world, I didn't have many shulker boxes. So I would literally make double chests full of the same materials. Now I don't do that anymore, and I structure it a little bit different. So I will fill up mostly shulker boxes with something. And then there are a few materials just laying around still, but these chests would be cobblestone as well. This would be all cobblestone, and this would be all normal stone. The first thing I did after I drained the entire thing was make the guardian farm, and after that I started making the floor. And the floor was early in the world the build that I was most proud of. I'm still very happy with the way it looks, but the trick that I had to figure out here is I wanted to make something that looks cool, but also spawn proofs everything. So what I did is I found software to make pixel art, and I designed, I see a better spot to explain this from. Let's go up here. I designed 1/4 of a circle with a basically Microsoft Paint, something similar in an online version. And that line starts dividing right here. You see this is the middle, and from there I designed this section all the way through here. And then after this, you see this small thing here? It's the same as this one, and it's the same as that one, and it's the same as that one. So after that, it starts copying over the same shape, but it still ends up looking very natural because I designed over the line. So this section crosses over into the previous segment, whereas this one crosses over into the next one a little bit. And that makes it look like it's properly connected. The floor is inspired by seaweed because I wanted to stay with a ocean theme, given that the base is called the Heart of the Ocean. Now here we have the floor, which is made up of half slabs in dark oak. I'm assuming that he won't attack again. Oh, he will. Let's take care of that. It's made out of dark oak half slabs. That almost hit us. Dark oak half slabs, and these are bottom half slabs. Now, bottom half slabs are spawn proof. So all of these higher raised sections, they won't allow mobs to spawn. And then all the lower sections, they have the light sources in them. Now you can see that here the textures of the sea lanterns are connected. That is a texture pack. That texture pack, you can find it here under resource pack. It says connected sea lanterns.zip. Shaharka made it. You can find it online if you go on Google or check the description of this video. It says incompatible, but it works just fine. Incompatible resource packs, you can still try it and it might work. So after I put the floor in place, then I started working on the inside of the base, and I dug down to bedrock under my ocean monument. I did that for two reasons. I already knew that Heart of the Sea to me had a double meaning. It would be Heart of the Sea and Heart of the Season. And I would make a engine room to my entire series. So if I want to make a farm, I will try to always do it in this place if possible. That does cause a little lag of frames, which is a technological problem that I will talk about a little bit later. Because that lag comes from entities that we're going to see on the rest of our tour. Now, the first things I made in here was a new sugarcane farm, because I did want an automated farm for this. And the previous design wasn't great, the one I came up with myself. Here I did something wrong, because you can see that this is not lossless as well. This design is made by Impulse SV. And I think I made a mistake here on the end by including these ice blocks, which are actually not necessary. They would only be necessary if we connect the next section on. I might actually... Could we fix this thing right now? Let's do it. Sometimes you have to think about how to solve problems. I feel that if this is the issue... This will carry it over from the previous row. This is one block too many that I got rid of. Is this right or not? Yes, this will work, although it's not ideal. And then here, if we take this water bucket out and we move it here, then it should carry all of them over to that side. I'll do the rest of the problem solving there later. But as a little bonus on a World Tour video, you get some problem solving here. For me, problem solving is all about realizing why a certain thing goes wrong. And the thing that goes wrong here is that there's apparently not enough traction left. So we end up with a situation where the blocks get stuck on the end of it. By moving the water here, they make it to this place. And this farm works in a really interesting way, where there's actually water on top of fences. So you see these iron bars here, and the water is resting on top of it. Can't go down. Super cool design. Not by me, Impulse SV, link down below. And then I made a creeper farm here, which is a design by LogicalGeekBoy. I got it from a Filza video. I closed this thing up entirely. In the original design, it is open. And the reason that it's closed off is this redstone circuit. Very bulky thing on the outside, which I used to put redstone lights in there. So right now, the farm is on. You see that it's producing gunpowder. Oh, it used to be on. I recently turned it off. With this lever, it actually activates a lot of redstone lights on the inside of the farm, thereby lighting it up, thereby removing the spawnable spaces. On this side, we see a blast chamber that is used with a cobblestone generator on this side and a double basalt generator on this side. I haven't had need for those as of late, so they are currently not activated, but if I would want it, I could generate resources all the time I'm in this base. That blast chamber is a thing I put in there later on. It hasn't been there from the very start. And then here we find a rogue slime, but mostly a lot of carrots. Now, this field, which has been completely destroyed by the slime, that's pretty awesome actually. This field I only recently put in there because I very rarely need carrots, and I learned, here it is again, I'm still learning a lot about this game. I learned how that fortune applies to crops and you can put it on a hoe. And I didn't really want to have a automated carrot farm anymore because I don't like the concept of enslaving villagers to do a job for you. I kind of abandoned that later on in the world. Then the first actual build that I did here, outside of the Ocean Monument, is a another AFK fishing farm because I wanted to get Nautilus shells. Now, I made chests for it, and I never meant to AFK fish it. I actually only meant to actively fish it when it was raining. So you can see that here, the water is exposed. It's not underneath this tree. It is actually has sky access. So if it was raining, it would give better rates. And this chest down here, this is all the fishing I ever did. There are a few things here that are missing, which is a Nautilus shell, pufferfish, and maybe 2 books. All the rest of it, the saddles that I started collecting later, I left it in there. There's probably a bow that I grabbed out of there, but I'm not entirely sure. And I made this tree of light, is what I called it. And this tree is only there to look pretty and to spawn-proof the fishing farm. Because I very early had an idea that in this entire base, I only want to make things that look good, even if they have to be functional. So I didn't want to put light sources around there. I wanted to make something look intricate that did the light sourcing for me. From there, I started slowly building my way around this circle that we had. And the next thing I made is a nether portal up to the roof that I wanted to look pretty. And I wanted to be a little bit more special than anything before. And this is also where I started designing in shaders. So if we switch the shaders here and we go to Zeus Renewed, these are really cool shaders that main advantage for me of Zeus over anything else is the way that it processes light. Because in vanilla Minecraft and in Optifine internal shaders, light is a pretty straightforward thing. But if you use Zeus, you get so much more control over light and dark contrasts, which, for example, for a nether portal can look really cool if you make it glow from the bottom up and then get darker towards the top. That is also why I used all these soul lanterns here to spawn-proof rather than normal ones, because it would give a lot of light on the outside of the design. Oh my, look at this sunlight as well. You see the shade moving out to the side? That's beautiful. Really, really cool effect. I made a little pond below here. There's water here, a little bit of coral reef, a single lily pad on that side, some rose bushes. And from there, I got to the first build in this base, which I still today, I'm so proud of this. I made most of it on stream and it was super fun to make. People in the stream chat came up with a name for this guy. He's called Gerald. And Gerald, his full name is Keeper of the Conduits, Protector of the Loot. He's a giant octopus that protects the base and hides the loot there in the basement. And when I made this, I was thinking about that light that I spoke about a lot. So if you take a look from here, you can see that there's an effect here in shaders that you can make, which is not available in a vanilla game. And it's called backlighting. You see it here at the top. If we take a look at Gerald and the whole setup there, you see that his head is actually visible, even though it's far away and it's very dark there. And the reason behind that is that there's light sources behind him that kind of give that outline. They light up this the leaves here, and they light up that little inside of the cave there, so you can see his head stand out. And I use that a lot in the water. And you can see that from this perspective, you see the tentacles pop out, even though they're quite far away in a really dark place. Because they're, for example, it's a sea pickle behind. But then if you look here, there's a tentacle actually way up close. Here you can see it, but you can barely see it because there's no light there. And these contrasts, they allow you to give a lot of ambience and feeling to a scene. Let's switch back to the normal shaders, because they do run a little bit smoother. And that issue with things running smooth or not smooth, we're going to see it in a moment. This shipwreck was here when I found the ocean monument. It was on the ocean floor, and I decided to never ever get rid of it, because it's a cool reminder of what was here before. But I did want to use it as something special. So I made this secret passage that leads into where Gerald is staying. It has a floor underneath here. And this room doesn't do anything except for form a transition into that treasure cove. So we have this little tunnel here with lots of details going on in the wall, and semicircles here with sea lanterns, which are actually a combination of 4 stairs to make a hole like that, which you can see that there's also 4 sea lanterns here. We're on the intersection between blocks. I found that on Reddit sometime. I don't know who came up with that, but it's a very, very nifty design trick, and it allows you to suggest circular shapes on a very small scale, which is something that is very hard to do in Minecraft. And stairs and walls are a great tool for that, because they allow you to make things less predictable in their shape. Now here we have the treasure that Gerald is hiding. I put a lot of gold ore in here. I tried to save ores. I still have like half a, or maybe even a double chest, or half a double chest, so a full single chest of iron ore, which I'm just saving to use for a later build. And then here we did something similar with a little nether themed room. Emerald blocks, diamond blocks, gold blocks. Little thing here is I never spent time mining just for diamonds. So we're cheating. It is only the outside of the pyramid. Then if we go out on this side and we follow that thing that I said earlier, I started building around the base. This tree I added in later for balance, because I felt like this area of the wall was too big and too open. This thing over here is what I called a water gate, and it will allow us to actually get out of the base and into the ocean. This area here, I never finished. I still haven't made up my mind what to do with it. It was supposed to be the start of a tentacle, but then I ended up making it smaller, and it is smaller because of the redstone in there. This is a system that creates a triple pulse that connects to the back of each other and then feeds all the way up using observers. I can go in that thing on the other side. The idea was that I would make a system like this with lots of sort of special effects going on around the base. I wanted to have a central redstone clock underneath everything that would make all sorts of light effects happen on the same time. Now the problem arises here. If you look over there where my crosshair is, you see that the lights, the redstone lamps are on. And that's because they're stuck due to how the rendering engine works. So redstone isn't rendered very far away from the player. And that means that if I zoom in, I get to see the effect there. But if I'm too far away, you see that it looks very odd. And it has a hard time computing. So these two, they are on a separate clock. This one actually disconnected somehow. Let's go in there, and then I can show you how the clock works. Now, I don't consider myself a redstone engineer at all. I barely managed to get things to work, but it becomes very bulky and odd. So if we actually check in here, let's figure out why this is disconnected right now. Okay, that did the full thing. Something got stuck and needed a block update. So we have a hopper clock here, and that hopper clock will push this redstone block back and forth. Then every time it gets to this underneath this observer, it's updated. And you can see that the observer gives a pulse here with delays that feeds it back into this block. And you can see that it flashes 3 times. thereby connecting the redstone signal. And that's how it keeps repeating and keeps giving up that signal. And then the connected redstone signal feeds up. There's another water gate here, which I didn't end up building out because it is kind of hidden away behind this nether portal. And that is fine for me. Now on this side of the base, we find the Mob Head Museum. This is something I had in mind since day 200 in the world or something. It took a while for me to get my trident. But once I did it and enchanted it, I started hunting for mob heads. And I used to do that over here. And this area still tells the story. I recently cleared out the forest here and I intend to decorate all this. But this place is quite probably the messiest place in my entire world. Because this is all just charged creeper holes. And I could have gotten unlucky in this place. Let me try and find for you why. I'm not sure I can find it, but somewhere under here is a huge ravine underground. So if I were to maybe this is the entrance. Maybe there is no entrance right now because I sealed it up every time that something happened there. This boy still needs to get to a museum or something. But right around here under this hill, I can try digging out a little bit because it can't be far. Now, to be fair, I don't know exactly where it's located. It has to be right about here. It starts under this hill, but I don't know in what location. If we get the top off, there has to be a place where it connects into it, because I had a creeper explosion 2 or 3 times where it would take off the top blocks from the surface, and then I would see this huge ravine there, which is very, very scary. I would take these creeper explosions by just... For a moment I thought it would be here because there was a little thing sticking out. When I see these creeper explosions, or when I had the creepers, I would just come up to them, block them with my shield, and then wait for them to explode. So after that, you are launched a little bit and you can fall down. And if I had fallen down into that ravine that is somewhere under this mountain, I could have very well fallen all the way down and be surrounded by way more mobs than I was ready for. So that, I realized later how risky that was and how it could have been the end of the world quite early on. Sometimes you have to be a little lucky, I guess. Then when I started getting more and more mob heads, I decided that I wanted to put them somewhere. And I made a museum especially for that collection. That is called the Mob Head Museum. We have these statues here outside, the guardians of it. We have a dinner bone skeleton horse here, just cruising around. And it took me a while to get this place completed. I have 2 phantoms sitting here in the entrance hall. Little decoration with a enchanted golden armor here. And then in this place, I made a double winding staircase. So if you want, you can cross over to the other side. And it still goes down. I made a nether tree here. 1.16 came out when I was about 500 game days into the world. So I still got the... I went to exploring. I never went outside of 1,000 blocks in my nether before the update. And I found the warped wood. I found the crimson wood. I found my netherite for my armor. On this side, we have a aquarium. There's lots of lights going on in the back, which is again for the shaders that we used. Now, the issue here is that the water on the glass renders quite oddly. So I don't really like the way this flows and distorts the image. Still, you can see that the colors are really nice. So if I ever find shaders that do a better job at this, it could potentially look really cool. I'm hoping for RTX shaders to be awesome. Here we have a little storage room with a iron baby zombie. That is, I think, the strongest baby zombie that I found. I'm quite positive. On this side, we have the Mob Head Museum. And this Mob Head Museum is a place I'm quite attached to. It feels special to me. I try to make it as cool as possible. We have a lot of coral reef going on here in the ceiling, which you can see the water drops there. There's water on top of the entire ceiling to keep that alive. I have a machine here, installation called Raindrop. I wanted to call it Raindrops, but the S didn't fit. But this cycles lapis through this system. It flushes it out on the other side and then collects it here, pumps it into the wall and then back up, distributes it evenly across the droppers and then drops it down below. Here we used trapdoors to cover up the light, but it still gives the light effect, so everything looks nice. Here's some light setups with end rods, glass, and iron fences. Sometimes I pick up lapis here when it goes underneath the floor, and I try to drop it back in. There's more in that system than it needs to function. Then here we have all the music discs, most famous songs in all the land. And there's a lot of string going on to make sure that these don't grow out further. And this is the beginning of my mob head collection. When I first made this, I had room for 120 mob heads, and I thought it would have me covered for a long, long time. I turned out to be wrong later on when I found a more effective way to hunt for them. Here's the dragon axe, she who ruled the worlds, on a block of ancient debris, which back when I placed it seemed like it was a very valuable thing. Here we have Shine Bright, a full diamond zombie, the first one that I found. He didn't have the sword, I gave the sword to him, but he had the armor. And then here we have Le Grand Boeuf, a full golden zombie, first one I found, who picked up a steak. That gave him his name. Here are some displays for people that donated quite a lot of money to my channel early on, like several tens of dollars. And it felt so crazy because I was just getting into this adventure and streaming it. And the fact that people would support me financially just blew my mind. So I made these small displays with Pokeball Master here, Gianluca, and here Fletch and Tom Gamma. And then here I made a display for Shadow. Shadow is a cat of Pokeball Master. Well, Flash and Tom Gamma, they got a house. This display I only made later. It was called the Almighty Apples, and it had 2 apples in it. But recently I've been going hunting for enchanted golden apples. So there's 9 on the sign, and then there's another 15 here for 24 total enchanted golden apples so far, which is a lot. I intend to get a full stack, but I prioritize building over doing anything else in this world, so it's probably going to take a long time before we get that completed. Now this room where we're going to now is a lot newer. I only made this recently. But this is the mob room, because I started finding more and more rare mobs, and I wanted to have a collection of them in my museum. So up on the top here we have a creeper, a charged creeper, full golden skeleton, full golden zombie, and they're fully enchanted as well, otherwise I don't take them. This one is called Shine Brighter, and everything but his chestplate is enchanted. And then this boy is enchanted iron. And I asked chat, do you want him? They wanted him, so we got him. Here we have a Halloween baby zombie. Here we have a 50% enchanted diamond skeleton, 75% enchanted iron skeleton. And here's some more Halloween mobs. During Halloween, I was focused on some building projects, so I didn't spend much time getting mobs. And I thought I have prioritize building for now. We can always get them later on a later Halloween. Here we have a full enchanted leather zombie because I didn't have one. Another skeleton in full gold. I found more since, but I stopped taking them. This one is full enchanted chainmail skeleton, baby zombie pig, baby zombie villager, a full enchanted golden baby zombie. When I found this guy, I was really excited. I was looking for golden apples, and I was more, or enchanted golden apples. I was more excited to find this guy than to find a enchanted golden apple. A witch and a chicken jockey, which I accidentally flushed off his chicken while trying to give him a diamond sword. I don't usually give them anything, except for this guy had a dirt block and it really annoyed me. And here we have a trident drowned with an enchanted trident. Here we have a full enchanted golden drowned. And there's 2 more drowns over here on this side. And then here we have what you guys call Dark Shrek. And to the left, we see a lot of names on the wall. Which I will always also roll as credits at the end of the video, because these are names of all the people that have donated to my channel over all the streams I've been doing. And your support means a lot. I wouldn't be financially ready to do this full time if it weren't for you guys helping out. So it makes a big difference. Then this room is the Dragon Head room. This is a room, funnily enough, where I used a Totem of Undying, because I was building this thing and accidentally hit the crystal. I knew that I had a totem while I was building this. So I took a calculated risk that I might accidentally explode one, but it made such a huge mess. So in the end, I got quite a bit of extra work on my hands because of the risk I took there. Then again, it was just some minutes, not like an hour, and I survived it, which is the main thing. Then over on this side, we find the second wing of the Mob Head Museum, and this one is mostly dedicated to actual mob heads. Although I do plan on making a new room soon, but here we have so many mob heads on display, and up until this point, I have over 1,000. We're on around 1,200 mob heads total. Here's a little display for the Funny Impossible challenge, which I did very early on the channel. I had a really good time with it. The game modes, the funny codes are awesome. There's a little story here, but I would tell you to explore that for yourself once you get the world. And this is where the collection of names for the donation wall started, but I actually filled up the walls, which is crazy. There are more than 300 names on the walls right now. If we go this way, there's a little extra room, which somehow is not completely spawn proof. And I honestly don't understand why, because there are no full blocks here. But this room has a lot of diamond enchanted armor. All of that comes from End Cities. And it has some rare things. Tridents that I collected. These were not all enchanted when I found them, but I put the enchants on them myself. Here we have the Loony Shoot V1, V2, V3, and V4. We're currently on Loony Shoot V5. These are my bows that have no more durability and are too expensive to repair at this point, because I prefer infinity to mending. Reason being, I can't see how many arrows I have in my inventory if I'm like this, but I can see if my durability is running out. So I want to prevent not being able to shoot my bow, and I expect to have it, because that could mean death. Now here I have been collecting things that I found in chests around the world, and saddles. At this point I have a lot of them, but also things like diamond swords. There are quite many. The top chests have to be filled up, but I think I have almost enough to fill chests there. This section is still empty. For most of these, I haven't even checked the enchantments. Here, this one is neat. It just needs mending, and then it's pretty much a perfect pick. Mending and another efficiency 4, so it becomes 5. Same for this one. Fortune 2. But there's a lot of good stuff here. This one is perfect as well. But I don't really need it, because I have 2 picks of either set maxed out. So 2 picks Silk Touch, 2 picks Fortune. And if I need to repair 4 picks, it's really time to repair. Then lots of Diamond Horse armor and lots of gold as well. With gold, I moved into the full Shulkers because it's already 3 full chests. Same with iron. I will dye these in the right color at some point, but it's not a very urgent thing to do. And that brings us to the end of the Mobhead Museum. I think one thing I skipped out on is the bee farm in the base of my ocean monument. And the inside interior, of course. So let's check that out as well. If we go over here, I made a little abstract art thing in the entrance hall because I still wanted to have something here, but I didn't really know what. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It looks fun. Here we have a early flower farm, which is extremely noisy. I mostly use this one to get nether fungi. It is actually a really bad biome for a flower farm. It will only give you the standard flowers. Here's the bee farm. These hoppers or dispensers are full of glass bottles. So it produces a lot of honey over here. I actually have to empty it out again. I don't have a slime farm. Reason being that there are a few slime chunks here in the basement. And during clearing this out and constructing it, I basically got all the slime I needed so far. I could make a slime farm later on, but you can't spawn-proof it with light. So I don't really want to, because it will go in the same mob cap as the Guardian farm. At this point, it doesn't look like I need more slime, because I have quite a bit here. But if we do end up needing more slime, then I could still make a farm. There's lots of other stuff around here. A lot more diamond things for the room that we just showed. There's some Totem of Undyings here, but I also have a full chest of those in my ender chest. I don't intend or expect to use them. I just realized that we almost forgot like the main attraction to the base. Before we go there, these are my living quarters. I wanted to make this look fancy. This is Bandy, who is almost sitting in that fireplace, which is actually the Guardian farm. And then if we go up here, we see a redstone circuit behind here, which I will show you on the outside what it does. There's more pets here. We have Garrett, Jasha, and Jab. More diamond armor on either side. Here we have FaZe, Timmy, and Max. Here's a little hangout, a reading room with a little bit of storage space as well for living quarters. And then on the other side of this is the bedroom. Interesting thing about the bed is that I never really use it, because I haven't slept in this world since day 750. We're currently on 3,419. But this is where I would sleep if I would sleep. Then this would bring us up to the nether roof. We're not going to go there just yet, because I have a few other things to show you first. That redstone clock there. Oh, there's little Guardian aquariums here. The reason that I put those in, this is actually funny. 2 of these guys are name tagged. The other 2 spawned in. Because there is no water in this entire base, which means that all the Guardian spawns are actually the things that you hear on the left right now. All the Guardians spawn into this thing, fall down, get lava bladed, and farmed up into the chests. But when I made these aquariums that were just meant to be for coral reef, 2 Guardians spawned into them. I was like, okay, I'm gonna name tag you guys because it will fill up the hallway. And it was hard to get this hallway to look right, because the exit there is on the right hand side, whereas this one is in the middle of the wall. And I didn't really want to move either one of those over. So these aquariums in the end of the hallway are a great fix for that. Then we have the back of the building here, which is decorated with the same circles that we saw down there. They look really cool with shaders as well. Let me show you that. Video settings. I like these patterns. They're quite subtle. Here you can see that there's 1 stair, and then here it's 4 stairs combined together. But I didn't want all of those to be light. Now, you guys have seen that the frames here drop a little bit. And the reason for that is twofold. One thing I discovered is that signs are actually a great reason for lag. So we're gonna have to fix that. Here you can see all this water dropping down the side of the building, inside of where the pillars used to be. That is regulated by the hopper clock. Unfortunately, you can see that it used to be a wave going down the side of the building. And during my time in this world, I find out that I still lack a lot of knowledge about how the game renders in. And that results in me having ideas that don't really come to fruition all the way. Because I'm learning what is possible and what isn't. For example, this redstone rendering thing. But also, this hopper clock is not in the same chunk as the whole structure. So if I fly out of chunks, it can get desynced because one chunk deloads sooner than the other one. And that is why this pattern breaks. I don't mind that much. I still like that there's water flowing down the pillars. But once I sync it back up, it does look a lot better. I'm not going to fix it right now because it would mean that I keep fixing it all the time. So sometimes it is what it is. I try to find a balance in this world between making projects look perfect and not spending a crazy amount of time on it because I want to keep pushing the world forward rather than keep revising the things that I have. Here we have a staircase that is also an aquarium. And this leads to the place that inspired my next project in the world, because this is the map room. I imagine you've seen this. If you haven't, this place took a lot of work. It took 9 hours of flying around within Elytra on full speed to get all the maps filled in and place them here on the bottom. There's sea lanterns below the entire floor, and this is 748, I believe, maps. Now, if we press F3 and B here, you can see that is a lot of entities, and maps are tile entities, and so the map tiles, but also the item frames underneath them, as you can see by the white outline. So this is 1500 entities, and that takes a big toll on my frame rates in this base. In the end, I do think it is worth it, because it is super cool to have a map like this in my base. And if we look at it closely, we can see the Heart of the Sea is in here. And you can see all the different builds, the nether portal, Gerald's cave, the shipwreck. Oh, this hasn't been updated because there's still a pyramid there. Let me actually do that now that we're here. That's funny. I've looked on this map so often and I've never seen that. Let's see if there's more things that still need to be updated. I just put my Totem of Undying there. Ooh, this is unfortunate. Now we have the bridge on there. The bridge is a temporary thing, and it leads all the way to here, to the E of Loonyville, because I still want to get a chicken jockey with armor. We're gonna remove that later. It's not important for now. I was very, very scared when I was building this room to accidentally place a bucket and flush the entire thing out. One time a creeper exploded a small portion of it, and it was a jigsaw puzzle from hell. Once I had this map in place, I came up with the idea for the next build, because I thought, how cool is it to have my title of the entire hardcore series on this world map? So I started making cobblestone ladders. I designed these in Photoshop and then built the outlines and filled them in. And they are basically enormous plaques of cobblestone in the ocean. But then I thought it would be so much cooler if it wasn't just letters, it would be something else. And that was the start of a project that is called Loonyville. You may have seen it. If not, I'm super excited to show it to you for the first time, because this is my favorite concept in the world. The thing that I'm most excited about out of everything. It's gonna take a long time to finish, but it's gonna be so, so cool when we do. Loonyville is more than just those letters on the map. It is a city. A medieval themed city that will have all the functioning districts that a city needs to operate or needed to operate in those times. And we have the first build I made was the castle, Loonyville Castle, which still isn't completed, as none of these builds are, because I want to make all the builds in low detail before taking my time and really completing every single one of them. The reason for that is that I want to have the image of the whole city before doubling down on interior, since it takes a lot of time. And I feel like the exterior is one project and the interior is one project. Here in the Loonyville Castle, there's one thing that has been built up, which is the Hall of 1,000 Ghosts. This is a memorial of not sleeping for 1,000+ days. There is a mob there. We'll take care of him later. There's another mob down there. This Hall of 1,000 Ghosts is a place that rains down phantom membranes. And I made it on day 1750 after not sleeping for 1,000 days in total. The bottom of the castle currently is nothing. There are some mobs here that still need to be moved over to their final locations. There's a progress map where you can see what the city looks like, even though it still needs a lot of construction. And there's some chests that I needed with materials for the castle. Second thing I built on here is the lighthouse. And the reason that I built the lighthouse as a second project is actually that I needed something. I needed to hide away a massive farm, which is under that mountain. And it is one of the very, very few places that is big enough to hide away a project of that size. This is a fungus tree farm. It is an automated farm designed by Raceworks, I think. And it uses TNT duplicators to drop TNT, explode everything here, feed it into hoppers, and feed it through composters. And that means that this farm, I think, is the only tree farm I know of that fuels itself completely. You can activate this and it will just keep running as long as you're in the chunks. Because if you're using TNT duplicators, you really don't want to go out of the chunks, since it can activate some components and deactivate others, which can result in you exploding a huge section of your farm, and then you have to rebuild everything. Then outside of here, we have the lighthouse. So as long as we're in the chunk and we're working on the lighthouse, we can actually afford to let that farm run. And that is how I think about all my farms. I want them to operate while I'm there and then produce enough resources so that I never have to AFK on a farm. Because AFKing on a farm is just a huge waste of world progress time. In the lighthouse, we have one cool feature that I want to point out to you. I think nobody knows about this unless they were on that particular stream where somebody suggested this. Somebody said it looks a little bit like a Totem of Undying. So then I refined it a little bit, and the shape of these windows is exactly the shape that the Totem of Undying has. Which is a little funny inside joke. Then here we have the trading district, which has the marketplace. This marketplace in the end will have 3 villagers of each profession where I can do my trades. Now, this is not a effective trading hall at all, given the layout, but I don't care about it. I want things to look cool and tell a story rather than to be perfect. So spending a little bit of extra time here won't be a problem. We still have to organize it, but the villagers are already here for the most part. The basic layout for the different shops in the trading district right next to the marketplace is here. We have all the rooms, we have everything spawn-proofed. There's still a lot of torches here. All of that will be fixed later on, because I don't want to have any torches in my world. I don't like it. I want to spawn-proof pretty. But for now, effective and quick is the main thing, because I have a lot of other districts to build. If we walk around here, you can... people could hang out here if they want to. And they can go underneath here, where there's still more space for some some leisure activities or some small shops. And then over on this side, it's even possible to go further up. And here we have a pond, which I might fill in a little bit lower or higher with water. Haven't made up my mind just yet. That's one of those things that I will address when we get to the final decoration of this place. For now, it has the general layout for the district. And then on this side, we find the Loonyvillas. These are houses that are made for people that donated a crazy amount. We have -0 who donated a lot. And -0 as a tribute got a pink sheep, natural generated pink sheep. I found him in the wild. Called Eugene, living here. This is the basic layout for Clap's house. I think this is the thing that activates it. Claps donated a ton and got this house, which still has to be decorated like all the other ones. Because, as I said, exteriors first, interiors later. The other week we did the first interior in Loonyville, which was really fun to do. That's the house that I made for Fletch and Tom Gamma. It's over here, located on this hillside. The entrance to the house is on this side. Let's close the door behind us. There's a very small attic here, which the player has to crouch. And from here, it lowers a boat down into the water. So these guys can go for a boat ride if they want to. Then down in the house, there's some armor and flowers going on. Here is Tom Gamma's puppy dog, misspelled on purpose. And hey Tom, don't forget to feed the dog. We left a lot of bones for him here. Let's give him some extra bones. They have a little terrace here where they look out over the rest of the Loonyville villas. And then in the basement, they have a pool table, some storage, and a jacuzzi where they can bounce around if they want to. Or chill out in the corners. And then here, there is a giant tree house for Redstone Engineer 28. Who has been exceedingly generous. All of these guys, big thank you to you guys. You're absolutely crazy. Redstone Engineer had a... oh my. That is gonna take some repair, but we'll do it later. Redstone Engineer had a video on his channel showcasing a certain redstone device, which we can check out here. There's a little tribute to him. But if we go into the house, how bad is the damage here? Fairly bad. This man does not deserve an exploded house. If we go up here... Wait, where did I place that? If we go up here, we find the interior of his house. Hasn't been decorated yet, but I think it's a cozy place. He has a little lookout here where you can see the rest of Loonyville. This is where the luxury district and the bank will be located. And then in the back, he sees the lighthouse and the trading district. And then in here is like his main living area. And then there's a terrace on top, which you can only see from up in the sky, because from here it is lost in the canopy. You can see that it's there, but it doesn't really stand out. Then here's a place that I really want to show you guys too. Let me actually turn my view distance down by a little bit, because we are currently in range of that Heart of the Sea. And if we're in range of that base, we are going to have the entity lag that is generated from there. This is yours. This place still has to be built, but this is where the house will be that you get to claim as your own once you get the world download, and you can check it out. Then here is where the administration district will be, all the government facilities. Here we will have healthcare and education. Then over here we will have the Loonyville city gardens, and then next to the gardens is the crafts district, which has been built to a certain degree. There's going to be a tunnel here under the crafts district where you can move from one side to the other. There's granaries and a food marketplace here. We have the mill and a farm. The lumber mill. This is where furniture is being made in the city. And here we have the Loonyville Castle slums. Loonyville Castle slums are where people live that work in and around the castle in Loonyville. And these are the cheapest houses in town. They're mostly self-made. And a lot of these houses are in the caves, actually. These caves, I really like them because they're super dark, but also still spawn-proofed. Some of the spawn-proofing is temporary because I don't want to have a million buttons here, but these are things to address later. Here we have the community cooking place where food is being distributed in the caves to everyone and being prepared. And all the houses are very, very simple, but they all have sleeping mats on the ground. And they'll have some personal belongings once we decorate it. And I'm thinking to build a nightclub here because people need to be able to blow off steam. Then on this side, we find the mid-income residential area. This is where people live that work as traders, or they work in the craft district, or they work in education. They are not in the Loony Villas. They're not richy rich, but they have a pretty solid income, and they live together with 2 or 3 families in these houses here. And these houses are also, I'm giving them away. This is for Memphis, the meme god. This is for Silly Fan. This house is for Nathan. This house is for Deska, OCE, and his trusty dog, Ash. This one is still on the market. And this one is for Max Ramos. And if we go up the hill here, there's a bunch more houses. All of which don't have any interior yet, but we'll definitely get it. Then there's one interesting thing that I still want to point out about this district is that we have this watery triangle here up in the air. And this one is only here to trick the map. Because as you can see, this is not an A anymore. Now, this is a cheap solution. And if I'm completely honest with you guys, I don't like this. So I will get rid of it later. I have several ideas as to what we could do to fix the map there. But it is the same choice as I made with the interiors. I want to have the full city first, and then we start addressing this problem. All right, let's continue our journey. Because there are a few more projects to show you. And the first one that I want to show you is actually something quite small. It is a squid farm. It's not a big creative project. It is just a place where I get materials. Because for one of my projects, I needed so much black dye that I had to upgrade my squid farm. You can see the old one was a little way behind us over the second ocean monument there. That one worked okay, but it didn't give the rates that we needed to get that entire project with the black dye done. Because I wanted to put a giant floor into my end realm made out of black concrete. And it took 200,000 blocks, which also means that I needed a large quantity of ink sacs. And we see this little box up in the sky. That is where I AFK for the ink sacs. Now, as I said before, AFKing, I don't like it. And I also don't really AFK because if I AFK, I will still be around. I will be literally watching my computer screen and watching a documentary on my second screen. Total time spent on this farm is about an hour and a half. And If it would be more, I would have made a decorative build here. This farm was too short to make a whole build, but also too long to AFK on a different farm because it would have taken some 20 hours. You can see that most of the river biome here is drained. This is as far as I needed to go, because if I'm standing here, the water there is outside of spawning range. And that forces all the squid spawns to go in here. Interesting. Shulker surprise. We're taking that. This is where the squids spawn if I'm not standing right on top of the portal. And then they go into the portals and teleport out of here right away. I can show that to you guys by standing here for just a minute. So if I need stuff here, this is what I do. I seal up this box, I leave it like this, and I watch a series or episode of something on my second screen until I feel like we have all the squids that we need, which literally takes a very, very short amount of time. Before going in here, I'm still going to put on my golden helmet and my armor. Better safe than sorry. I usually take my shield when going through nether portals, even if I expect them to be safe. But here you guys can see, that is from just standing there for a moment. And it fills up these chests here, which I then cover over, take over into shulker boxes and take with me as we make our way out. How that cat ended up in there? No idea. But he's our friend now. Alright. With that, let's go back to the main base. And then from there, I have 2 more projects to show you guys. Which is one more than I want. Because in general, I don't want to have more than 2 uncompleted projects at the same time. The thing is that we have these frame drops at the main base due to all the signs there. And I'm trying to get rid of that by copying over the signs to a new place. So I found a new location where I don't mind to have that lag as much. Also, the lag is partially the signs and partially the map. I don't want to move over the map, but by splitting the signs and the maps between 2 different locations, it should improve the whole situation a lot. These beacons, by the way, are underground and they are only for decoration. They don't have any beacon powers. They are all sitting on 9 blocks of iron. Alright, if we go through the portal here, it will bring us up to the nether roof. Alright, so we're on the roof. This place, out of everything in the world, bothers me the most right now. Because why is there a hole in the wall here? We'll address that later. The reason that this bothers me the most is that we travel here so much, and up until very recently there was no project here. And that means that it means that my projects are disconnected. They're not one whole thing. And that is why we started building something here. And so far, there's only a layout. All these lines on the floor, they are white stained glass. And they are just a reference for where blocks are going to go. Because they help me to figure out reference points. So I don't have to count everything and I can build symmetrical. For example, if I want to build a tower somewhere, I know where the exact opposite from the center point of the base would be located. I'm not going to work on this project much in the near future, but the reason that I started it now is that I wanted to have a place to move over the signs from the museum to. It has to be a pretty place because donations are nuts, and I want to say a special thank you to every single one of them, no matter how big or how small. So in these archways is where all the signs are going to go from the museum. And after we finish the project in the end, we're going to focus on this one more. There's also nether wart farms on this side. I have to farm these manually, but in doing so, I can apply fortune, and that gives me a lot more nether ore than it would otherwise. So far, I've gathered all of this already, which was like an hour, maybe an hour and a half of work. And for every 2 shulkers of nether warts, you will get 1 shulker of red nether brick, and I'm gonna use that a lot in this build. Now, if we go back to where our portal was, where we entered this place, it is this one. You can see that there's all these trails going out on the floor. This trail goes to a jungle biome somewhere. This trail with the shroom lights goes to the Loonyville castle portal. This trail to the left goes to a coral reef. I was searching for the word so badly there. To coral reef. Coral is a really cool block, which I like using. It really gives a pop of color to any build. So I want to have access to that. And then if we fly just through the air here, we're gonna find my gold farm, which I haven't used much. The main reason I had it at all was that I needed to convert zombie villagers in Loonyville, and I needed a lot of golden apples. Right now, I have found a lot of golden apples because I was looking for enchanted golden apples. This farm is great, but it hasn't been spawn-proofed yet, and it doesn't have its sorting system yet. Both of which are things that I will do once I really need a lot of gold. For now, this will make do. Now let's fly out this way to get back on that trail of prismarine, because that trail of prismarine leads us to another big project that is actually really, really important to this whole world. Because down here, there is a portal that goes to the overworld, but there is also a hole in the bedrock. And this hole in the bedrock leads to my fortress farm. And from the fortress farm, I get all fortress drops, which includes wither skeleton skulls and blaze rods. Those two together are really important for crafting of end rods, and wither skeletons provide a great fuel source in addition to the drops from their skulls. It is a combination of flying machines there that push mobs into this fortress farm, and it just rains down a whole lot of them. It's about to start. I will kill them here using fortune. Very rarely an Enderman teleports into it, and they don't take enough fall damage here. So it takes a little bit of effort to slash through. The reason mobs don't die from fall damage here is that there's actually a hay bale around this minecart. Design is also by Gnembon. Really, really cool farm. I have to switch it off here, because if I don't switch it off and I go outside of the chunks, right now you can see the blazes and other mobs standing around, they're not getting pushed. If I don't turn this off, it breaks the slime swipers when I get out. Now this portal is here as a time save, because that ladder to get up back up to the roof is very, very slow. So if we go over here and we fly out to this portal, it will put us back where we started. And then from here, we can follow the trail to get back to either Loonyville or the main base, or the end, or now the nether roof hub that we're building, which I don't expect to finish before day 6,000-7,000 in the world, because there are a few projects lined up before that. One of which we are about to visit. Usually when I'm flying around, I use that time to clean out my inventory of all the stuff that I don't really need. If we follow the prismarine trail back, we see one with a granite trail here that is a mountain biome where I've been gathering lots of granite. You can find it on the surface there, or you can go into caves and mine the whole vein. I needed that to make Loonyville Castle. For now I have enough. Then this portal is one of the most important places in the world that we still haven't visited. This is where the end is located. This portal goes straight into the stronghold. And if we make our way in here, we actually found a room. Or find a room that was formerly the portal room. And I changed it up a little bit and decorated it. I'm really happy with the way this looks. We have Enderman in the pillars. 6 in each pillar, so there's 24. Which I transported in there using boats. We have that same circle design that we saw at the heart of the sea. And we have variations on it here in the wall to provide some light sources. Some glowstone going on in the wall and some magma blocks. And a lot of pink stained glass. I think it's magenta glass actually. As well as end stone. We have a skeleton here that hasn't been properly lit up. And then we have this little tree. Well, little tree. It's quite a big tree. Made out of end stone and chorus fruit on the top. And this leads to the portal. Which is still open from the top. Because I want to be able to drop mobs into the end at some point. This, however, is not how we go through that portal. Because it would be quite an inconvenient way to do it. If we come out of the portal here. So this is the entrance from the nether. We go into the room. We walk straight. There is a pressure plate and a bubble elevator that will shoot us straight into the end. And once we find our way here, let me check my elytra durability. It's actually good because we just healed it. This is my end project. The end island is completely done. I wanted to say gone, but yes, it is also completely done. If we change back in shaders here, we get to see where we are exactly. This thing here is my my Enderman farm. It has been here for a long time. I built it around day 70, I think. And if we look out to the left, we can see the project I'm building here. I'm actually going to turn off mob sounds altogether so we can talk about this. This is a statue that is based on my Minecraft character, and I gotta say this is the hardest build that I've ever done so far because it is so complicated to place everything right while in survival mode, and you have to build a lot of reference blocks first. I can show you guys that in the on the inside of the statue. You can see it here for the head. There's a lot of wireframing going on. But here on the inside, you can see how much wireframing I actually had to do. All of that is in glass because it's spawn proof. Now, on the inside of this, it isn't spawn proofed currently. And also on the outside, all of that will be spawn proofed. For the outside to spawn proof it, I will basically coat the entire statue in glass. As you can see here on the front arm. To explain what the statue is doing exactly, what pose we're looking at. He's standing facing us and just slashed his right arm across his body to the left, or right for the viewers, left for him, with a flaming sword, and then his other hand is now turned behind his neck, holding a trident that shoots out channeling lightning to the water. And the reason that this entire place is flooded is that in the right shaders, that actually functions as a mirror. So if we're flying around here, we can see that entire reflection of the statue in the water. And I have high hopes that in RTX shaders, this will work even better. We're using a lot of light sources here. All of those are sea lanterns that come from the Guardian farm. And if we go inside of the head, you can see the storage for materials I'm using here. And there's a lot more stuff ready to go. Here there is a ton of red stained glass that I've been preparing. These are all sea lanterns, and there are more at base because I keep checking out if the farm has resources. Here you see some black stained glass, terracotta sea pickle for the bottom part of the build. It can also, if you fly around it on the bottom, it looks especially good in shaders. you can see that I installed some smoke machines on the water, which are just campfires with signs so they don't flood, located under the water surface, and it will actually rise out of the water. It's my goal to finish this project before we get to 4,000 days, and I reckon that it's gonna work. But there's a lot of work left to do. Here around you can see all the end gateways, which are just floating around the statue. Here you can see his arm. This is an example of a partially finished thing, because the angle for the arm still looks a little bit odd, which is something we're gonna address, but it's one step at a time. And then the trident still has to be decorated on the outside, because this is just a framework. It's gonna have some... it's gonna look like it's engraved by the end of it. And then if we make our way back inside of the statue, there's gonna be a new Enderman farm inside of this one. The old one's gonna be removed. If we fly into the portal, which has had some bedrock removed there, we make our way back to the heart of the sea. Or the main base. Let me quickly think about it, but I'm pretty sure, guys, that you have just seen all of my hardcore world for all of the 3,421 days that I've been in it. Next up, we're gonna finish that end statue, work on the exteriors of Loonyville, build the nether hub, work on the interiors of Loonyville, and hopefully, if everything goes right, there are a bunch more projects to follow. As long as I manage to survive, of course. Because every single day in this world could potentially be the last if I'm not careful. I hope you guys enjoyed the world tour for so far. And I look forward to doing this again. Probably around 5,000 days, when there is a lot more finished progress to show. So far, this main base, the Heart of the Sea, is the one that I finished. We are probably going to add some more rooms to the museum later on. But for now, this one feels like a completed project. And I'm really excited to go on ahead and make the other ones feel just like that. Thank you guys for watching this world tour. And I hope to see you soon on a live stream where we work on the world every day of the week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And as of right now, Loony out.